In my experience, 20 plus years of coaching golfers just like you, there are 3 things that you can focus on with the driver which makes hitting good golf shots in the fairway and longer feel relatively easy. I'm going to basically teach you what those 3 things are today, and if you can do this, I'd almost guarantee that you will hit more fairways. So the first thing that really stands out to me when I work with golfers with the driver is they're rarely stood to the golf ball correctly. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Chris, that's boring. I want to get into the exciting stuff like shallowing and using the ground. But setup is so important because it dictates basically how you're able to move your body through the golf swing. Most golfers are aware that when we are hitting driver, the ball needs to be up in the stance. Now you can see I've got these 2 alignment sticks here to give me ball position and alignment. And as I place my feet just a little bit wider than shoulder width, which would be ideal for the driver, you can see how that golf ball is pretty much off that front heel. That's ideal. That gives us the greatest chance of hitting up on the ball, which we know is really helpful for distance. But that ball being forward is almost the worst thing that can happen in the setup. Because all too often, golfers create a way of getting the hands on the golf club which puts their body really out of sync. This trail hand is lower than my lead hand on the golf club. So being lower than my lead hand means it's essentially further away and the ball is further forward. So for me to get that hand on is quite tricky. And this would be a really common look at setup. Hips are back, sternum is forward, upper body is very much pointing left when we relate that to that ball to target line. From here, even the most skilled of golfers are going to really find it difficult to be consistent. And that setup is almost promoting downward hits, fades and slices. So if any of those sound familiar, let's get the setup sorted. So what I'd love you to do is place your feet in position, use a couple of alignment sticks to get yourself set up. I know that ball's exactly where it needs to be. I'm going to find my nice 50-50 balance position. I'm going to place my hands on the golf club, but I'm going to have my arms very, very relaxed, and I'm going to try and get the golf club shaft as vertical as I can. Then from here, I'm simply going to push my hips a little forward, my head a little back, and just create a little bit of tilt in my upper body. And you can see as I do that, the club just sort of follows that. Little bit of tilt, belt buckle is slightly closer to the target than my sternum. From here, I'm simply going to tip over and place the golf club in behind the golf ball. Now you look at what that looks like versus the previous setup that we showed you, very different. Notice how the club shaft is relatively neutral. It's not leant forward, it's not leant back. Notice how there's a little bit of tilt from my upper body, so my spine is tilted away from the golf ball. And those changes should mean that my upper body alignment is much more matched to my lower body alignment and ultimately more matched to the line that we've got on the ground, which is referencing my target. From here, I've got every chance of making the right movement in the backswing. Doesn't guarantee anything, but we've made it so much easier. And that brings us on to the second point, which is how you move from setup to the top of the backswing. Because if I set up correctly and I make a backswing where my weight goes forward, I've suddenly made hitting the driver very difficult. If I make a backswing where my midsection slides away from the target, again, I've made hitting driver very, very difficult. So how we move from setup to the top of the backswing is incredibly important. I often say to golfers, the easiest way to change your downswing is to change where the downswing starts from, i.e. making a better backswing. So we're going to use these alignment sticks and we're just going to move them slightly. So I'm going to take this one and I can place it just inside my trail heel, and then we can get rid of that one. So when I take a setup, club is going to go across my shoulders. Now, the easiest way for you to figure out what a great backswing is going to feel like is to take this setup, grip end out this side, and without moving the head too much, i.e. this way or this way, make a rotation where the grip of the club gets on top of the alignment stick that's inside of your trail heel. That can obviously be a golf club if you don't have alignment sticks. So this little movement here, whilst hopefully it looks relatively simple, is doing 2 really important things. The first thing it's doing is it's making sure I have enough turn, because if I don't turn enough, I can't get the grip on top of the alignment stick. I've got to have enough turn through my shoulders to allow that to happen. The only way I'm going to get enough turn through my shoulders is if I have enough turn through my lower body. My knees are moving, my hips are moving. I'm creating a good amount of rotation, which allows me to get the grip on top of the alignment stick. That's the first thing it's doing. The second thing it's doing is it's helping me load into my trail side. If I'm someone who moves towards the target, you can see I can't get that relationship that I was after. If I'm someone who sways, we often get tilt in the shoulders. Again, I can't get the alignment stick to line up. Or if I'm someone who just has a huge drift off the golf ball, I can almost go too far and I can see that grip is now outside the alignment stick. So it's really getting me to turn the right amount and also to load into the trail side better. When you do that and we add in the golf club, the thing that we get as a free result is we get a good amount of depth. Depth is where the grip is relative to where it started, how much it moved this way inwards. So many golfers I work with who struggle with the driver, maybe it's because they slide, maybe it's because they don't turn enough, have the hands going too high. They don't have enough depth. And when you don't have enough depth with the driver, it's really difficult to get that inside approach, that attack angle on the way up, and maximize your distance. So if you can get your setup correct, you can get that body loading correctly, you're going to get yourself into a pretty perfect top of the backswing without too much thought. And then what we can do is go through the final thing, which is the transition, how you move from that top of the backswing position into your downswing. This is where so many golfers get it wrong. They rush, they snatch, they turn too soon, and that can throw the golf club out. So I want to run you through the Justin Rose drill. I'm sure you'll have seen Justin Rose do this. What he does is his little rehearsal is something that looks a bit like this. So what is he actually doing there? Well, in that rehearsal, and we'll go through why it's important in a moment, essentially, once he's made his backswing turn, he holds that turn. So I'm going to keep my chest facing you, and he works the arms down almost behind him in this sort of fashion here. Once he's doing that, he's starting to shift a little bit towards the target, move his pressure towards the lead side. But the key part to this is that he's not using the chest, he's using more of the arms. What's that doing to the golf club? Well, notice it's lowering it. And if we lower it to an extreme amount, what's that likely to do to my club path and my attack angle? Well, if we lower it a huge amount, you can see that my attack angle is now very likely to be a positive one, because the club went down to the ground early. It's then going to start to work up and away from the ground. That's really helpful for the driver. And when we look at the club path, when we lower it, what's my club path likely to be? Well, it's likely to be more from the inside. And when I look at the golfers that I work with, what do they need? Well, they generally need the club path more from the inside, and they need to hit up on the ball more. So that drill does both of those things. What's really common, and this is so detrimental to consistency and distance, is golfers will often make a really nice backswing, but the first thing they do as they start down is they use their upper body and they snatch at the downswing. They rotate this far too aggressively. Look what happened to the club. Club head stayed pretty high, but it went out towards the golf ball. Now from here, even if I stop my body rotation, all I've got left to do is swing the arms at it, and look what we're getting. Face on, we get a downward strike, and we also get the club working out to win. So if you're someone who snatches from the top, you're almost always going to be hitting down, out to win, and you're likely to hit shots that go way off to the right with a big, big slice to them. So if you can work on the Justin Rose drill, you're going to see that ball flight completely change. So let me show you what it would look like in practice. We go, setup is good, turn behind it, arms come down, and then we add the turn, and we're able to collect the ball, hit a little bit more from the inside, and create these much better delivery positions, which ultimately are going to help you hit the ball further and hit the ball straighter.